Hi there, welcome to Tickled with Tové. I'm Tové Kane from Belfast 89. It's a great pleasure to welcome a chartered psychologist of the Psychological Society of Ireland. Allison it's so exciting to have you here. Allison, I know it's always awkward to have you hovering around while we read your bio, but hang in there because you're such a star. It's Allison Keating is here. Let's first of all greet you. Hello, Allison. It's lovely to see you.
How are you?
Thank you so much. So for everybody else who is yet to meet you, Allison, let me just describe some of the credentials. You run your own clinic in Dublin City Centre, an eminent media psychologist, and appeared on numerous TV and radio shows, an advocate for promoting work-life balance and highlighting the importance of switching off and having new experiences. Allison has a very special interest in helping people to manage their daily stress to promote their overall well-being. So it is an absolute pleasure to welcome you to Tickled with Tové, Allison. Thank you for your time today.
Thanks for having me.
I know you are extraordinarily busy. I'm excited to hear about this. So we're all clicking about, let's see about a romantic getaway. That's why we wanted to find out about this. After lockdown, it's one of the top searches that people are wanting romantic getaways. What have you found out?
It seems like the keyboards are on fire and people are like, just get me out of here. And I think everyone can relate, can't they? Like people are just, there's been this huge spike in people looking up kind of couple breaks away, romantic getaways, and then just like looking best places to see the stars. And, you know, Discover Northern Ireland has a fantastic website with lots of amazing ideas. Very tempting, I have to say. I've been looking and going, oh yes. But what I found really interesting was it seems to be the parents who are doing these kind of searches. And it seems that they're looking for it in November. And to me, that makes perfect sense because it's just been such a roller coaster, hasn't it, for the last 2 years? And I think what I'm seeing is parental burnout. They are absolutely exhausted. You know, we juggle so many different roles, even pre-COVID. You know, you can be a parent and you can be in a partnership, you can be minding your parents. But then we added in a couple of other roles that we hadn't actually asked for, such as being a teacher and lockdown and working from home. And it's been a lot. And I see people at the point where, you know, we can manage stress to a degree, but when it's chronic, you know, and just long term, it's quite difficult to kind of find any space, even within the home, especially during lockdowns, where couples actually could turn towards each other and just have some time, kind of quality time. We've definitely had time, but we mightn't necessarily have had quality time. So I think it's just so interesting, but it makes complete sense to me that people are now looking for somewhere where they can just kind of reconnect. Because I think all of our roles were really challenged and pushed, and people, there just seemed to be such a mixture of people. Either they were kind of, you know, maybe not working so they had more time, or people were more busy at work. It seemed to be one or the other, and so many different experiences for different people. But it's just actually kind of going, you know what, hey, how are you? Hey, I like you, you're my partner, let's just kind of reconnect together, because there was such a demand upon people's energy, time and resources from so many different sources that now it's like, you know what, we need to kind of catch up and just do something nice together. And I thought it was really interesting when I was looking at the Discover Ireland website, like the one that definitely attracted me was this kind of night sky park. And I was like, isn't that a fabulous idea? Like to do really new, novel experiences. And within a relationship, that's an incredibly important thing to do. And I think it's been lacking the last 2 years, hasn't it? Like even when we were locked down to a certain amount, never mind novel experiences, we could barely get 5 kilometers down the road. So, I mean, it makes a lot of sense to me as to why these searches are so high and what people are actually looking for. And they're just looking to reconnect.
Allison, I think this is what is so exciting, is to see that people at last are coming into a sense of appreciation and valuing and being grateful for that connection, because sometimes you have that sense that some relationships, and we all saw it pre-COVID, of people sitting at restaurants on their mobile phones, not even talking to each other. So what would you say is one of the communication secrets for couples?
What I would suggest, and this is from the work of John Gottman, he's the lead expert in marriages in the world, and he created this thing called the Love Lab 30 years ago. So he's also a mathematician, so himself and his wife, who's also a psychologist, can imagine the dinner chats there. They sat down and they literally filmed, couples getting on, arguing, normal everyday life. And what they found was that the couples, not the couples that don't fight, but it's the couples who engage in what we call, they return the bid for attention. So a bid for attention, as you're saying, you're out to dinner and your partner's sitting there, they're present, but they're on their phone. So you're not actually paying attention. And I think we can all relate to that we're, yeah, when you're not really listening. Whereas the couples and that kind of secret of longevity within a marriage, within a relationship, is that kind of turning towards your partner and giving them your attention. And look, when life is so busy and we have so many demands upon our attention, such as work and children and life and everything else that goes with that, I think kind of the couple aspect came down last on the list for a lot of people because they were just struggling managing normal, it wasn't normal life. They were trying to struggle with, incredibly uncertain time, a lot of stress, a lot of different kind of things coming up for people. So there's this sense of kind of coming up for air, but coming up for air that actually it's taken and expended a lot of energy. So it's about recognizing and saying, it's like, say your partner says, hey, do you want to get away this weekend? Rather than like, no, I have too much work to do, or actually I need to clear out the spare room. Just say yes, turn towards each other and give each other kind of that time where you actually are kind of connecting back in. And another kind of key component of Gottman's work is this kind of sense of creating hopes and dreams. And I think hope is such an important kind of aspect within our relationships to keep it fresh and alive, that you check in and say, hey, what do you actually want to do? Because a lot of people felt stuck the last few years, that you kind of get back in and say, wow, that was an interesting 2 years. Do you know what? I've actually figured I actually hate my job. I'm going to actually leave it. And you kind of connect in with each other and kind of start creating and dreaming about this future of how you want actually life. Because I think a lot of people questioned how they've been living their lives and actually going, do you know what, pre-COVID, this wasn't great. This has kind of brought it all to the fore. I'm thinking I'm going to have a kind of a bit of a renaissance in myself, and doing that as a couple. It's a really kind of exciting time to do that.
We're talking to chartered psychologist Allison Keating on Tickled with Tové, and the question, of course, has to be, given that, you mentioned work-life balance, and I suppose, that is the great pressure that we experienced after lockdown. But something that isn't in balance, I would say, is that as adults, we've lost that spontaneous, authentic idea that we can play, that we're entitled to play, that we should play. And we don't even recognize, we possibly don't even know what our play language would be or what we like to do anymore, because we just haven't done it for so long.
I think people who actually keep that childlike aspects in their personality as adults, I really think it bodes very, very well. And sometimes kind of the unique selling point in your relationship might be that you have the same sense of humor. So it might be like a decision at a basic level to like, we're not going to actually watch the news, and we're going to watch a comedy, or we're going to just, connect back in and bring that kind of playfulness in, because I think we can just get a bit bogged down in, life is very serious. And trust me, I fully appreciate that. I've, been seeing from the front lines, how mental health has been challenged. But I still would advocate, hey, watch a bit of comedy in the evening. And figure out what play is to you. So for one person, it might be just, going on a little adventure. You might go on a picnic. For someone else, it's a hobby they really enjoy. But again, it's that conversation. And I think sometimes when you have that space, when you actually go away for a couple of days, you can kind of get back into that playful aspect of yourself, because you're not doing all the other stuff. That's why it's healthy, I think, to kind of sometimes get out of the house, whether it's just for a walk or a weekend away or whatever you're actually doing. But it's just actually getting curious with each other and say, hey, what do you actually find fun? The question of how do you do it? This sounds crap, but you have to structure in playtime. Because nothing kind of happens, I think, yes, you can spontaneously laugh at TV or something, or go to a comedy show. But I think actually intentionally doing something, say something fun together, whether it's kite surfing or, just trying something new that could just be a bit of fun. I think laughter it's a really healing, cathartic experience to kind of have a total belly laugh with your partner. It's fantastic. So I love that aspect of play. And We need more of that. I think people are play starved. They're exhausted and starved of a bit of fun and play.
I think that is possibly, the thing that you're touching on there is not letting our play, our communication, our relationships be circumstantially based. In other words, we're not just being sort of bombarded by conditions. We're actually using our mindset, our intention, and our willingness to volunteer to do something together. And, they say couples who play together can stay together, and that's the whole thing. So people are, the hot tub sounds like fun in November. Let's not tease ourselves. This sounds like a plan to me.
I'm jumping in. I'm there. Okay?
I'm right there too. I think it's fantastic.
I'm there. Absolutely. Bring it on.
And it's good, it's good to be able to say, how do you laugh beyond jokes, comedy, or humor? There are certain ways to do that, and it's just showing up for it, being willing to do it. You were talking about work-life balance as part of your, part of your passion. And just in closing, as we round up today, how do you recommend that people get? I don't know how you would say. What are your tips for couples to say, aside from doing the volunteering and the suggestions and the going away, have you got anything else to leave people with that they could say, I heard this Allison Keating was saying that we could do such and such, something that would work, just at a small level, at a doable level today?
Okay, so I think it's actually making very clear boundaries. When you say work-life balance, I think it's really, really challenging, and sometimes it's just not possible. But I think the idea of going towards genuinely as a couple, making a kind of a goal that you actually give each other, say on a Friday evening, we have the right to power down, we have the right to switch off, we have the right to come back and be together and have some fun and not just be checking my emails every 5 minutes. Literally, I sometimes think about it's like, pre kind of having email at home. It's like your boss turning up at the door. You need to actually close the door on work and say, no, actually, I need to have a bit of a life. I need to have boundaries. And I personally understand how challenging that is, because there's such a sense of immediacy that we have to get back to things all the time. You need not to always be available for work. It's much more important to be available to yourself and your partner. And I think rest is a very important part of that. So when you say, what can you do today? I love the Dear Challenge, which is drop everything and rest. And actually, do you know what I'm doing at the minute? I think, especially in wintertime, I'm doing this little challenge at the moment. It's called the Skip and Dear Challenge. So basically skip for a minute. There's your fun. So if you could skip outside, and then you go get yourself a cup of tea or coffee, and you take 4 minutes where you actually drop everything and rest. And that will be a lovely time to sit down and have a chat. So I think it's just about making some plans together and saying, hey, how are you doing? Checking in and kind of saying, do you know what? We've been through a really tough time. I've just been Googling away here, romantic breaks. Boom, let's go.
Let's go. Well, I think it's great. And of course, it's so exciting to see that Discovery and I has got so many beautiful places to go.
Oh, yeah.
That we're searching for these. There are spa opportunities. Who doesn't want to go and enjoy the treatments and the luxury and the pampering? We all need it. Thank you so much. Yeah.
I'm telling you, what I'm seeing is it's not just a luxury, it's actually a necessity at this stage. To actually take time to mind yourself and to kind of reconnect together as a couple. And I think it's good sometimes to do that outside of the home, because otherwise we're just bombarded with, I better empty the dishwasher.
Yeah. I like that. I love that extra commitment. And of course, just to remember, you started as the couple in the first place before you were the family. Let's get back to that. Nourish, nurture. It can't just keep being dragged through all of the obligations and things. We've got to nurture the thing that we fell in love with in the beginning. Fall in love with each other at the spa. It doesn't sound like a bad idea. And you heard it from a chartered psychologist. She said it's necessary. So thank you so much. Allison, it's been wonderful to meet up with you, to hear your recommendations. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.